Well, has anyone got what I meant by the clue in the title? Because today we are back for a summer transfer special at Distillery. We are about to have the first huge exit from this football club. We've got two additions to the club. One is massive on the pitch and one is massive off it. Let's go and see what the other clubs have been doing this summer, because it's been a bit of a frustrating one across the board in Northern Ireland. Yes, hello and welcome along to part 166 and season 18 of this Build a Nation story, Lifting Spirits with me, Daniel. We are back today with a summer transfer special, as well as a first game against Cliftonville. There is a lot to reflect on both on and off the pitch, and you can actually see all three of the names at our club that we're going to talk about today on this home screen here. Two of them will be new unfamiliar names, and one of them very much a familiar one. So if you're looking forward to that, as well as seeing what's happened across the nation this summer, in what has been a pretty interesting development actually, and please do put a thumbs up on the video. We're going to start by talking transfers and then move on to the rest, but we've got to split this into two sections, which is the club and the nation. And actually, despite the many differences between us, there has been one similarity, and that is that both us, Linfield and Larne, have all been aiming a little bit too high. We've been trying to get the best possible talent from what we've scouted, and it's actually held us back because all three of us have gone for some brilliant players. Linfield have looked for players who were rated in the A's for our scout reports, and we've all missed out on our players to other clubs, which has meant that getting towards the end of the window, none of us have done that much work. However, what we have done, I am incredibly proud of, because the two additions we've got are massive, and the one that might be leaving is basically an offer too good to refuse. So let's go and have a look at the transfer screen. Now, the first thing I should point out here as we go back to the end of last season is that we have had a slight increase to our reputation but stay at 3-star. Linfield have gone from 2.5 to 3, Larne from 2 to 2.5 after winning a European trophy. We've got a few returning Lone Stars who are brilliant as well. We'll look at them in a minute. But our two big signings came either side of the season switch, and as did a number of transfers out. There's going to have to be a couple more because we've currently got 2 more than we can register for the Champions League, and I'd still like to bring in a big striker. But the start of the window was a big decision for us because Declan Hendry returned from loan at Hearts, and he was good. He'd improved a lot. In fact, he'd returned from Dundee United. He's now gone to Hearts, and he is going to go on and try and play at a higher level now. They're in Europe. They're in the Scottish Premiership. He might be dropping a bit in Europe, which we'll get to in a minute. But overall, he's improving massively. And at 23, he could be the man to take over next year from Scully and that if we don't get a striker in of our own accord. Because we've been trying and we've been missing out. So at the moment, Declan Hendry is sort of our long-term vision at this club. And hopefully in a year's time, he'll be ready to play for us. But a big step up in loan for him. The rest of the outs, if we move on to this season, does see a bit of improvement in terms of 2 players that have now gone within the nation who are going to be big potential or even good current ability players. So Jared Gorman, who is probably one of our finest youngsters, he's gone on loan to Ballymena. Not the biggest current ability, but will improve really quickly. Can still play for our reserves as well. Loads of other players have gone out, but I'll just mention the ones of note. So Aaron Simmons has gone to Sligo Rovers. He's a good player and is improving after his January signing. Paul Brown, much the same to Gillingham, but not doing quite so well in terms of development. Morgan Griffiths, he tried to force his way out. He's gone on loan to Bristol City, but again, he's been a legend for us. We can't begrudge him that. We'll come back to the 2 permanent sales in a moment, but Tennant Harding is the big one at the end. He has gone on loan to Coleraine, which is a big development for our nation because he's a very good player still, albeit he's not ready for our first team yet. So he's going to play for one of the other sides in Europe and hopefully help them succeed because the results in Europe so far have been excellent for the Northern Irish sides. The 2 permanent departures though, one of them very much expected. Damien Dunn came back from his loan in the Championship and we have sold him on now as one of the older players, and with the 2 players we've signed both being attacking midfielders, Damien Dunn, he surplus to requirements. He was the worst of the bunch, and while he's still a very good player, he could have done a job. He was a backup player who wasn't homegrown in the nation, and we've got to be strict on those. So 160 league appearances, many more in the cups. Some great goals, some brilliant memories, but he goes to Hibs. And to be fair, he was sort of the first superstar we signed for free, wasn't he? We've sold him years later for 1.6 million. We've got to be proud of that, in addition to the money we'll make on top of it. Paul Elliott has also gone to Sunderland. He wanted to force his way out. Probably important for the national team he does move on as the backup right winger. And even then, you've got to look at the quality of this squad, because I keep telling you that we've got a borderline Premier League team, and now we probably have. But even looking at players like this, who were third choice maybe in our squad at the moment, Paul Elliott is now going to start in the Championship at Sunderland. That is the difference we're talking about. It's a big level of player, but he moves on for 1.4 million after we signed him for 200 grand 3 years ago. He's homegrown in the nation when it comes to the league squad, but he wasn't when it came to the Champions League squad, because he was homegrown 0 to 21 rather than 15 to 21. So not a big loss from the homegrown quota. But if we have a look at the ins, we have got 3 additions. One you can see has gone out on loan already. Bit of a gamble. That is Declan Curtis. He came in from Arsenal, 2-star ability, Northern Irish Youth International. He's got potentially up to 3.5-star ability in there. So we're going to see how he does at Bristol Rovers in League One. He should get regular football there. He should develop. And at worst, we'll sell him on for a bit of a profit. So not a bad deal at all. The 2 big additions, though, come in the form of a man from Shandong and a man from Turkey. Now, Zheng is our first signing of the summer. And I'm going to show you in a screenshot in a moment the effect it had on the club. Because for 5 million quid, he's a good addition. He'll probably be a backup or a rotation option. But my word, the commercial value of having a young Chinese superstar of 3-star ability, 4-star potential, a quality addition who can play off the left wing, the right wing or up front, a professional personality, lots of experience for his age, and a current first team international. He's a superstar. Now, you're going to have to forgo my head for a minute, but let me just show you this screenshot. As soon as this boy joined the club, we basically gained 50% of followers on social media, which is going to be huge for us commercially and reputation moving forward. And even looking at things like merchandise sales, pre-season tours, whatever else, I've got a feeling that he's going to be worth far more than 5 million to us for the rest of this save. He's still a good player. He'll be involved in our squad for now. But his value is probably more off the pitch. And for the money, we weren't able to get better players. And given what's happening now in terms of outs, he might end up being a better signing than we think. So there's the first one of the summer. The second one, though, was very much an on-the-pitch signing, because Ademir Balikci comes in from Trabzonspor for 4.5 million. Fair play to him as well. The only player who rejected the elite European clubs for us, rejected Chelsea, Arsenal, etc. He's a number 10. He's just 18 years of age, but he's already 3.5-star ability. He's on 15 grand a week because we had to pay him more to get him, but I really like what he's got. He's quality on the ball, great technique, the vision, likes to shoot from distance, and he's pretty good at it too. I mean, against the bottom half teams in the nation, he can shoot from anywhere and score. Again, a lot of experience for his age. He's an international at senior level as well. Sky's the limit. Sky is really the limit for this kid. So a genuine world-class future signing. However, it is tinged a little bit. We had a player who's been trying to force their way out, and normally we've battled through them, particularly this year where we've not got to play in a playoff round of the Champions League. We're straight into the groups. But this offer is now far too good to refuse for a player who's unhappy, because if I go to the transfer centre, we have accepted an offer for Josip Vucinic. Now, I'm just going to click this arrow and you can see the value. 17 million rising to 28 with a 50% sell-on clause. All bar 4 million of that money is guaranteed up front, and I'd be very surprised if he doesn't continue to play for Croatia. But the 50% sell-on basically means we're going to get another 10, 15 million out of it. I mean, it's huge, isn't it? So what a deal. And let's be fair here. Imagine we get to the stage where we can eventually bring him back and we become an elite club in Europe. We'll get 50% of the transfer fee back straight away. So there's a lot of positives to that deal. But I didn't feel I could refuse it. And while he's very, very good, if you look at the signing we've made in a number 10 role, we can now push Meraval Austin out wide. We have got Paleka coming back from loan, the other young Croatian. And we've, of course, got the Chinese guy on the left as well. So it seems too good to refuse in the circumstances. And for Vucinic, he's going to get his dream. And we're going to get 28 million quid and more. There are lots of players who are trying to push their way out. Leo Donnell is the prime one at the moment, but I'm not going to accept that deal because he's too important at the minute. However, I'm expecting one or two more to move on before the end of the window. We accepted offers of around 10 million for David Bird, for Trevor Davis during this window. McGlaw class has rejected a loan move away. We'd really like to get him out in the midfield. We are a little bit congested in that area. At the moment, him, Jordan Gash, etc., not quite willing to leave. However, some of those who have returned from loan are very good footballers now. We have a look at Xavier, who has been the best trainer every week since he returned. I'm going to say give it half a year and he'll be one of the best players at the club because he is pushing on. And you get one improvement to the attribute point. His passing, his vision, his work rate, his stamina. They all become 16 for centre midfielders, which is going to be world class. So him I'm very happy about now. The other one who's come back good, McGlaw class obviously has as well, but he's a little bit unhappy and throwing his toys out the pram. The other one who's really come back good though is Nenad Paleka. He has improved towards the end of the year. He's versatile. While not ideal to not have a set position for him, he does offer us quality up front and off both wide areas in our preferred role. So he's going to offer us 3 of the 4 positions up front. Not going to play number 10 because of Ademir, but he's a very good player. And that is the position we're in at the moment. We've got lots of players who are on the cusp. Even people like Chris Towson now are improving immeasurably. It's just about whether we can push on to that next level, keep them happy enough that they're training well for a long time, and hopefully then take that final step, because we're not that far away now, I'm pretty sure of it. We have still got a little bit of work to do. I'd still love that striker. If we lose a centre-half, we'll need to replace them. And we still haven't got the second goalkeeper we want. But otherwise, we're in pretty good nick. And the 2 signings we've got are going to have a huge impact on this club, both on and off the football pitch. So very good position at the moment. I'm not going to run you through the millions of players we've missed out on, but it's been infuriating yet again. There are still good players we're linked with that we can possibly sign. Twice we've had deals for Arne Jangard, who has then lost a work permit. And what's annoying about it is that he is a favoured personnel of the other Vålerenga youngster, which is Asmund Pettersson, who is the best young striker in world football, a model citizen wonder kid. If we could get the other deal done and the work permit accepted, I feel we could get this guy, which would then take us to the next level. But at the moment, doesn't look like it's going to happen. And it's been a frustrating summer in that regard. We have got some good players in, though. We've got to be pleased with that. The frustration, though, comes with the nation. Because while they're performing well in Europe at the moment, the transfer window, well, maybe it's a positive because they're aiming a lot higher. But it has really delayed their work. And I think we're going to see a trolley dash on deadline day. So if we go and have a look at the Irish Premiership window, so far there's not been an awful lot coming in. There's been quite a lot going out from the big clubs. Coleraine are probably the biggest movers. We mentioned that they got Tennant Harding from us. They've also brought in a couple of youngsters from Linfield for the future. And further back, I'm sure they had another one too. Glentoran brought in a couple. 3 agents coming in that were pre-agreed in the summer. So Larne got 4 or 5 in. Linfield got 1. Glentoran got 1 or 2. And Glentoran inside Gary McKinney, who had been released from Linfield, who'll be very good for them. Matthew Harding, our former youth player, made the move across to Glentoran from Coleraine. And another one of our former youth players, Jonathan Caulfield, has ended up a newly promoted Ard. So the standard of the league as a whole is improving. But you can see Linfield and Larne have not done any proper transfers this summer other than the players that were pre-agreed. Now, Linfield have gone for some players who were top quality. And you've got to give them credit because they've made bids of £2.5, £3 million for people. But they keep missing out on them. And that is the devastating fact at the moment. So for Linfield, it's been a frustrating summer. I will show you a couple of those they missed out on in a minute. And for Larne, the big immediate problem for them was they lost their manager. Now, they had links with 3 or 4 really big names, Mark van Bommel probably being the most notable of them. But they've ended up going to Andy Waterworth, which is no slight on him. He's actually had a good managerial career in England by the looks of it. But he's not quite got the attributes that some of those other guys had. So a little bit of a worry for them. But both of them going for big signings and not getting them. And I wonder whether they now reduce the quality demands or do they go for it on deadline day or just wait. I'm not sure. So just to give you an indicator of the quality those sides have been going for, this is a player that Linfield bid for and rejected them to go to Preston in a championship. He's a former England under-21 international. He's a super striker. If he'd been a bit taller, he would have been on our radar. And he's as good as some of our backup players and 1 or 2 of our starters. So That's the level they've been trying to sign. For us, I'll show you a couple of the players we've missed out on because it has been a heartbreaking summer. Christian Morosi was a striker we went for as a free agent deal. He rejected us to go for 42 grand a week at Parma. We did try for Jan Carlos again, no luck. We've mentioned Pettersson as well. Ian Laird, free agent release from Manchester City, rejected us to go to Celtic. And one we're keeping an eye on now is David Close, our Northern Irish international star who's at United. If we can get him before the end of the window, he basically rotted in their reserves last year and wasn't fit when he came for duty. So if we can get him on a loan signing at the end of the window, two-footed striker who's professional, who's quality, who's 6 foot, I'm going to go for him and hopefully he'll play lots of football for us. But the ideal is to get someone permanently. We're looking at Lucas as an end of contract option, trying to think like a forward-thinking club now as well. Can we get people in, sell them on for a profit if we sign them for free or very little? So there's that element to it too. We want to start thinking like a big club, and at the moment, we've not been able to do it. Larne, of course, lost their manager to Derby after winning a European trophy, but they've got a decent man in. And now we, thanks to the coefficient, go straight into the group stages of Europe. But it's not just us we want to be singing about at the moment, because as well as being up to 11th place for this year, for next season, we're in the top 10. And that is purely because of what Larne did. It means that another side get into the Europa playoff. It means that we've got another side further forward in Europe. And of course, in the long term, a lot of excitement for Northern Ireland because it is pushing on massively now. And even the league, like the prize money and all that stuff's going up too. However, I want to show you how the other sides have been getting on in Europe because some of the big clubs have been doing really well. And the key news is that on the 13th of August now, all 5 sides are still in Europe and some of the results have been remarkable. Linfield have been playing in Champions League qualifying. They have made it through 2 games in a row, including against Declan Hendry's Hearts. They beat them in both legs, and that is against the 3rd team in Scotland, who Nenad Paleka was playing for last year. So it does show there's a very similar quality there for the 2 sides. They also beat Trabzonspor and now play Utrecht, where they may well fall into the Europa League at the worst, but they can get into the Champions League. That would be a seismic moment. For Larne, they have been flying. They don't have to play until the playoff round in the Europa League. That means they're guaranteed group stage football again. Can they back up their success in the Europa Conference? Glentoran, brilliant results. They've had a fairly fortunate draw to this point. They've beaten Barrow, they've beaten Craiova, and now they go and face Galatasaray. But they've brought in 3 or 4 good players and they have some firepower up front. Top championship level firepower. Maybe not quite enough in defence, which is the worry. And maybe the best of the lot is Coleraine because they beat Motherwell on penalties after 2 draws in the Europa Conference. They've now got the unenviable task of Sampdoria to try and reach the group stages. But maybe with Glentoran, with the Turkish league falling, it could be 4. I'm not sure Coleraine can do enough. But either way, the coefficient for these clubs is building. And we're definitely getting closer and seeing better results. And with Scotland 6th in the coefficient table, to be knocking 2 of their sides out early could be massive for the future. So that's where we are at the moment. Let's go and get through to the opening day of the season. Of course, we are favourites to win the league, but we need to have a better season as well because we saw what happened with Linfield last year. They beat us twice in the league. They beat us in the Irish Cup final. We failed in the SPFL and we didn't get through the group stage in the Champions League. Now, it's unlikely we'll get a worse draw than that this year, but we've got to be wary of what's happening because we may well fall away here. And while finishing 2nd or 3rd might not be a bad thing in terms of winning a European trophy, it will be a disaster in terms of my job. We've got to pick 11 players from what is now a very strong squad as well. It's not the toughest game on paper. We've of course got a few days off and we've only got Ballymena in midweek. But Linfield is the 3rd game of the season, so I want to make sure we're in good nick. Couple of unhappy players, a couple moving on imminently. So let's go and pick our 11 for the opening day of the season. Well, as we run through our lineup for today's game, I think the players missing out on the squad, in spite of injuries, probably shows you we're a little bit midfield heavy because Vucinic suspended and probably on his way. Zheng also still picked up a knock and Lonsdale not quite fit. But despite that, if you look at the players missing out on the squad, it includes Gash, Class and Press because we are just so midfield heavy. So if we could loan out Class and sell Gash, I'd probably be happy at the end of this window. The rest of it, though, is pretty strong in the circumstances. We've got Morgan Hassin, the undoubted #1 now, with Urza and Reed the fullbacks, and unhappy Lee O'Donnell alongside Trevor Davis, who maybe I'm throwing in the shop window. Xavier is back from loan and starting alongside Bayavang. It's basically him or Houston in the centre midfield role this season. And then Meraval Austin out to the right this year. Belikci is now going to be our number 10. And then Paleka also back from loan on the left with Mark Scully up front. Maybe his last season as our first choice striker. Even a few on the bench that could move on. If we get the right offer for Johnny Burns with Coleraine getting that sell on. Or even Misselidis potentially leaving the club. Jordan Howard if we do get another striker too. There could be a lot of good buys this year, but for now, it's a relatively familiar team. But 2 debutants from the returning Lone Stars and 1 who is brand new to the football club. All of them brilliant players. Let's see how they play today. Well, here we go for what should be a very winnable first game of the season. But Jason Armstrong is a threat up front for Cliftonville. There's no doubt in that. Let's go and get into the first half through the team talk. I think our former youth player Ryan Miller was on the bench there too. But into the tunnel interview, of course we're going to give the usual answers. It's a big crowd at Cliftonville. We're now a draw to come and see. We're selling more season tickets, we're selling more tickets, and we should be scoring more goals as the early free kick is in and Davis heads just over the bar. You can see there straight away our new number 10 on certain set pieces. He's going to be a big player for us this season. As Scully wins the ball for him, Ademir gives it away, right on cue of me praising him. Brown forced out wide for Cliftonville. I'm expecting to see a few goals here. You can see Xavier doing the pressing early on as well. It's down the right from Brown. Cliftonville scored the opener. This might cause a rethink here. Johnston cutting in from the right. Space to run into. Reed misses the challenge. Oh my words. Cracking effort off the left-hand side. It's just wide. Glancing the post on its way. 0-0, but a first scare of the day. Lana Linfield have winnable home games, so we should all be winning really. As we're 15 gone, we're going to encourage the lads because it's a Cliftonville goal kick and we've not seen a lot of this game. As Scully wins it early doors for Meraval Austin. It's a massive pitch, they're not getting the ball past halfway, and as a result Scully gets in. Nena Paleka assists the opening goal of the season. Great work from him, and it's 1-0 to Lisburn Distillery, and now we're going from the kickoff. This is where I hope we can now push on and try and get a few more of those comfortable wins this season. Those 4s, 5s and 6s that we weren't getting enough. As Bayavang gets the ball in the middle. Another man who might be off with the right offer this summer. Out to Meraval Austin on the right. Crucial we keep him fit if Vucinic goes. Cuts back from the byline and loses possession. It's cleared away to O'Donnell. Another man who's fighting to get out. As here's Xavier. Big ball over the top. Reed heads away to Johnston and it's cleared as far as Davis. Brings it down well. Space to run into, finds Paleka. Good ball for Scully. I think he's offside, he is. They've kept that wide angle so the referee can blow his whistle. But Paleka looking good off the left. And to be fair, with the money we ruined on Evans last year, we probably should have just kept him. As Xavier puts a corner in, O'Donnell's up at the back stick. Headed away as far as Ademir. The youngster on the ball again, looking good. Lays it back to O'Donnell. Inside to Davis, space to run into, support from Xavier and Bayavang. There's a switch on if they can find it. O'Donnell tries to release Meraval Austin. The ball's been nicked, but the clearance straight back to us again. Xavier loses the header, but it falls for O'Donnell. This time he can carry it forward to Bayavang. Inside run from Ademir. Scully's in the middle. Cuts back himself to Meraval Austin. Shots in, deflects to Paleka. And his dream start to the season continues. Both new signings heavily involved there. And of course the returning Lone Star in midfield looking good as well. This is a very good start to the season. Not against the best opposition, but the players that are impressing are the important ones. Though that free kick from Xavier is pretty useless. It'll be cleared long downfield by Mullen, the keeper. They're going to look for that direct route, but defensively, we should be able to deal with that. It's straight through to Morgan Hassin. Plays out first time to Urza. Can we get a better second season from him? Through ball towards Ademir, who can't quite make it. It's cleared to Reed, the right back, who finds Brown. Big ball over from Cliftonville. They're going direct, but they're not beating us at the minute. Only as far as Davis, who can bring it into midfield. Lays it short to his teammate O'Donnell. Carries it into the centre circle for Bayavang. Chips over for Scully, who the right back played on. Mark Scully dinks the keeper. And it's in off the post. And if we don't get a superstar striker this summer, Scully will still do the job at this level. But coming towards 30 now, we're going to need a star eventually. Half an hour gone, we're 3-0 up. Lana Linfield still 0-0. But this result and this performance has been exemplary. As Mullen gets the ball in goal. Big kick downfield, which will only find Urza. He has support. He finds Paleka. Chance to take on his man. It's back to Xavier and Urza. Into midfield again. Finds Bayavang. Through ball to Ademir. Good run. He's in one-on-one. Ademir on his debut. He's got one as well. Now, if Xavier can score a free kick, it will complete the set. Because we have got two superstars on their debut scoring, and the other one's playing well too. This is a good attacking display. It's my type of team. It's dynamic. It's got pace. It's got quality. It likes to carry the ball. And while it's against poor opposition, we weren't doing this enough last year. And it's great to start the season that way. As Urza carries the ball into midfield for Xavier. He finds Bayavang again. Options over on the right-hand side, but he carries it himself. Scully's looking to make the run, but Bayavang goes alone. Deflected shot, and it's straight at Mullen. It stays 4-0. I don't think we're going to get another before the break, but that is a glorious performance. Let's tell the lads we're happy. And now I'm starting to get excited. Could we deliver in the Champions League this year? Maybe we're going to improve. 5 minutes gone in the second half. We're playing out from the back with a Hassim free kick. Gavin Reid back to fitness and playing well. Finds Bayavang and O'Donnell. Wide to Reid again. Has support down the line, but Reid goes himself. Now releases Marival Austin, who's adapted to this position brilliantly. And as I say that, he gives the ball away with a poor pass. Cliftonville bring it away, but look at the pressing. Gavin Reid gets it back for Xavier. Into O'Donnell. Chance to look over the top. Plays in Marival Austin. Has support inside. He finds Bayavang. Short to Xavier. Chipped over to Marival Austin. Scully's in the middle. He goes alone, no. And Johnny Marival Austin scores. Now an assist for the third new signing in the team. That's what we want to see. Brilliant work from all of them. And soon we can bring on youngsters and start resting people. Because still, we're building up the fitness. And whoa! Just above my head, did you see that? Linfield 0, Glenarvan 2. Where's that come from? Ademir finds Scully. I know they're focusing on Europe, but still, that is a shocking result. Bayavang gets the ball wide. The benefit of not playing qualifiers, eh? We can put out our first team. As here is Broadbent. Back to Mabin, who chips over the top. Well won by Davis for Ademir. He finds Paleka. Over for Scully. Should be 6. Will be 6. No. Miss kicks it and cleared by Simfield. Brown gets it on the right. And I think now we are going to go for changes. It's going to be Reid off at right back. He's still building up from last season. So Freeman on for him. Thompson on for Davis at centre half as well. In midfield, I've got to get Houston on. He will replace Bayavang. Marival Austin off. And he'll be replaced by Jordan Howard. As Harris gets the ball out to Brown on the right. Chance to carry it forward. He beats his man. Might end the clean sheet this. Millar's in, our former youth player. I think he took pity on us there. Missed an absolute sitter. And we are now going to make the final change. 15 to go. Johnny Burns will come on. And I'm going to rest Belici. It's his debut. He's only 18. And he deserves the round of applause. Johnny Burns will come on as the number 10. And Linfield are back to 2-2. Are they going to complete the turnaround? Lana struggling against 10-man Warren Point. And I think we're the only one of the three to win on the opening day. A 5-0 win at Cliftonville. A super performance. All of the new boys and returning new boys involved. 3 debutant stars. And yes, both of them drop points. It's going to be a late end to the transfer window for them. A hectic deadline day on the way. But we're not going to worry about that. A super start for us after a frustrating but still pretty encouraging transfer window. And now we are going to skip straight ahead to the Champions League groups. Unless we've got anything in between, we're not going to worry about it. I know there's 2 big domestic games coming up. But my focus is now Champions League football. Hopefully we'll have some big deadline day additions, and more importantly, hopefully the other sides in Europe will as well. Do you think Glentoran or Coleraine will make it? Or will it just be the 3 sides again? If you want to stay up to date and find out, and you did enjoy this summer transfer special, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. Let me know what you think of the 2 signings, which one will have the bigger impact overall, and what do you think of Vucinic leaving? Surely that money is too good to turn down. If you want to stay up to date with the season, subscribe and turn that notification bell on. Plenty more to come, I'm sure, and hopefully a better year in Europe. But let me know how you think we'll get on, what you think was the most striking part of our transfer special. And I'll see you back here in a couple of days' time after another transfer special in the built-in Bristol save to return for Champions League football and hopefully a better showing than last year.